Good evening everyone and welcome along to a brand new TGP2 season. It's season 27, it's a brand new year, a brand new season, same old pandemic. I'm Ginger Andy in the commentary box, and joining me from a socially distant 200 miles is Aidan Griffins up in Inverness. Aidan Griffins, welcome along into the commentary box for what is bound to be a brand new brilliant season of TGP2 action.
There it is. Happy New Year to everyone. 2021, but we are still, of course, on F1 2020. Some familiar faces from last season and some new faces from last season. Obviously, I did most of the season last year, so recognise some of these people. But I've taken a wee step aside. I'm only co-com tonight, and it's good to have you alongside, Andy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I've got to apologise, folks, for being a wee bit late. I had some mic issues, but we got there in the end. Smokey J's has gone quickest of all with a 1 minute 34.0 at the top of the timesheets, just a fraction quicker than Mike Noon as we get towards the end of the session. Mike Noon, by the way, on a lap at the minute. We're going to pick him up. He's 600 of a second up through that first sector. He's just slightly impeded by Dark Shadow in the McLaren. Won't be too much of a problem for him. As you can see, Chris Thurgood joining late into the session. What's Mike Noon going to do through that second sector? Oh, he's 3 and a bit tenths up on his previous best, and at the moment Aidan looking like the first man into the 1 minute 33s at the end of qualifying.
That it is, that Red Bull looking absolutely planted around Abu Dhabi. It's a difficult circuit to get the setup right. There's so many difficult corners. Do you run downforce? Do you not? You need to get the car turned in, but there's also a big back straight, and this lap so far from Mike has been spot on until now. He's just invalidated it.
Oh dear, bad news for Mike Noon. Will he have the fuel to go again? Will he have the ERS to go again? He's at 54% at the moment, so things not looking good for Mike Noon as things stand. Smokey Chase has gone again. Is he on a quick one? Doesn't look like it. Jack Pearson out there finding 200s in the first sector. Just 2.5 tenths roughly down on pole position at the minute. It looks like it's a two-horse race for pole position here between Smokey J's and Mike Noon, unless Jack Pearson can do anything about it. He's in that Mercedes, that wonderful black Mercedes, down the back straight where that curves in just a little bit to catch the drivers out in the braking zone, and now down into that braking zone, and they were looking to get things nice, clean and tidy, get as good an exit as you can through here, and then blast down this short straight with the DRS wide open. Plenty of overtaking expected here during the race. You get so much action in online races. Jack Pearson not really finding the time. He's now down by 3/4 of a tenth on what he needs to improve. So not going well for Jack Pearson by the looks of it, as Smokey J's has seen the checkered flag Aidan.
There he has. The front end of the mark looking quite lazy. Jack's car not looking as punchy as Mike's. And there you go, just understeering. You don't want to hit that car there. That will ruin the whole lap. Also, spectator can be a bit dodgy, so whether he did hit that or not, but it's not been the greatest lap so far from Jack. That front end just doesn't quite look like it's there.
Well, I tell you what, the Pink Panther will be crossing its tail down in the pit lane because it's seen the checkered flag of Smokey J's, and Mike Noon is on a lap. And as I say that, Jack Pearson has found the time in the final sector. A 1:33.995. Mercedes have stolen right at the deck, but there is still a charging Red Bull coming towards the final couple of corners, trying to steal away the pole position right at the end. Mike Noon for the line, and he's done it. A 1 minute 33.730. Snatches the pole position away right at the deck. Giapelli goes fourth. No improvement from him. Where is Dom Smith out there? He's sixth at the minute. No improvement from him. And that was an explosive end to qualifying. That is all the lap times done and just dusted, apart from Mr. John, who is in the final part of the lap and not on a quick lap. So Mike Noon snatches it right at the end. It looked like Smokey J's and the Pink Panthers had the job done. They didn't, and Mike Noon takes the pole just after Jack Pearson had managed it, Aidan.
Yep, fantastic qualifying session there. Jack finding the time in the last sector. He was down in the middle, and obviously the last part of the lap is technical. You can gain time from it. I didn't think you would. The car didn't quite look there, but Mike Noon, he was given a challenge and he's batted it straight out of the park again. 33.7 is a fantastic lap, especially at Abu Dhabi.
Well, the man that was impressing in the commentary box last night has impressed on the racetrack tonight. Is there anything this man can't do? Mike Noon on top with that wonderful 1 minute 33.730, 2.5 tenths clear of Jack Pearson, who really did improve and impress in that final sector, as you say, Aidan. Really solid effort. Everyone, as you can see, on the soft compound tyre in the top 17. Dark Shadow, the only man that did a lap time on the mediums. What kind of strategy, Aidan, are we looking at for the race tomorrow then?
Probably definitely a soft to medium. I think the timer's not too bad at Abu Dhabi. The undercut can be quite powerful with the technical last sector. Obviously, fresh tyres giving you just that launch out of the technical corners. Timer's not too bad, so we should probably see softs to mediums. People pitting around maybe 5 to 6, I think.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Pretty plain forward.
Okay, we'll see what happens outside the top 10. It's Nooney that's on pole position, then Jack Pearson second, Smokey Jace, who thought he had it, in third. Mr. Chiapelli lines up fourth, some 9/10 from pole, with Bossman Sean in fifth. Tom Smith lines up in sixth with Sam in seventh. Baza is eighth, Chris Johnson ninth, and Joe Sayer rounds out the top 10 here in qualifying today. But as we said, we'll go through that bottom half of the order, 11th downwards, when we see what tyres the drivers are on outside the top 10. Remember, top 10, they start on the tyres they qualified on, which of course for everyone was the softs. Everyone from 11th down to the back of the field gets free choice of tyre. They can go soft, medium or hard, but I think it's fair to say, Aidan, unless there's a very early safety car and someone's got really bad tyre wear, well, we won't be seeing any hard tyres today, will we?
I think even if you get damage on lap 1, I think it's probably still worth going for the mediums. I just don't think the hards are there, especially at Abu Dhabi. It's that they don't really get going. They just don't offer that grip for some of the corners that this track will throw at you, because some of the corners here are quite difficult with the curbs.
Yep, so we'll see how it goes then. We'll see how the bottom half of that order line up. We won't go to that right away. We'll obviously have the start of the race. I'm thinking there's a formation lap. For goodness sake, I was racing last night. I should know that there's no formation lap. But we are about to get underway. No sign of rain whatsoever. There never is in Abu Dhabi. We're in the desert, for goodness sake. More chance of a sandstorm. So the cars about to line up in the grid for the opening race of the TGP2 season. And it's season 27, and it's about to get underway when those 5 red lights go out, and Mike Noon leads them off the grid, and he's had an absolute flyer. He's flying away into the lead. Jack Pearson pulling alongside with Smokey Jace. He's just ahead, maintaining that second place. So it's Mike Noon leading up the hill from Jack Pearson second, Smokey Jace third, and a flying start from Tom Smith, who's already up into 4th position. Great start from that man, and we have got a safety car already. Incident, presumably, down at the back, Aidan. Have you seen it yet?
I've not seen it, but it looked like the two McLarens and Angel versus Death just tangling. Maybe one of them got on the curb on that whooping right-hander, but what a start from Mike, and a key start then from Jack. He had to clear everyone behind him. He couldn't get jumped from anyone behind him, and he's done that perfectly.
Oh, we've got absolute mayhem down at the hairpin under the safety car. Everyone bunching up. We've got the Williams of Angel versus Death. Well, I think he's picked Death today because he's got a damaged front wing on that Williams. I think that might have been contributing to the safety car. Blair Grill's down the back there. Have you got any damage? I'm trying to make out down the straight. I think he might. I think there's a few cars down there with damage. But yeah, not a good start at all. So let's have a little look at the front then. It's as you were in the top 3 places. Mike Noon, Jack Pearson and Smokey Jace. 1, 2, 3. Dom Smith up 2. Down 1 for Chiapelli. Up 2 as well as Joe Sayer. Great start from the man behind Sayer Sports. Red Bull Kim, by the way, up 5 places. Brilliant stuff from the Viking. And 5th place gain for Chris Thurgood as well. 4 for Shep. So a lot of improvement there. But hats off to Red Bull Kim. Bad news for Blair Grills and Angel versus Death, losing 6th and 8th places respectively. But we're about to see pit stops here, Aidan, aren't we? And we fully expect, as we touched on moments ago, everyone to dive in and fit a set of medium tyres for those that started on softs.
Definitely got to go for the mediums. I just don't think the hards will give you what you need in the end of this race. Smokey is going to... He's thinking about it. He is going to stay, but the top 2 are coming in. But yeah, Mike sped in the pits. Oh,
disaster for Mike. Then he sped into the pits. I'll tell you something else that's going on. Dom Smith slowing down into the pit entry so that he doesn't have to queue behind Jack Pearson. Well, the stewards look at that one. He still had to wait for some period of time. That's held up so many cars. Chiapelli, Sam Hick, and many others as everyone pours into the pits. Mr. John has carried on. Red Bull Kim has carried on, as has Alex Zaffro and Smokey Jace, interestingly. So a strange decision there from Smokey Jace. Let's have a little look at the stop counter. There you go. Top 5 not coming into the pits. Mike Noon, who's sped in the pit lane though, is going to have a penalty added to his name. So absolute chaos at the start of this race with that safety car really throwing things up in the air. So everyone from 6th downwards going to the end of this race now, but Mike Noon with a 5-second time penalty.
That they are. Dom was jumped by Joe in the pit stop, so he's down in 11th, but obviously there are still people yet to pit. Didn't really need to slow down in the pit entry. Games by Codemasters, they've got a cool down timer anyway, so once Jack leaves, the mechanics won't service you straight away. So if he does get a penalty for that, bit of a pointless penalty on the Mercedes part of it.
Yeah,
the cool down timer from the pits.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a silly penalty for Mercedes to give away, absolutely. I mean, it will slow everyone else down behind, which is why the stewards might look at it. But, you know, we'll wait and see if anyone does choose to report it. Of course, the stewarding system is you have to have someone has to report the incident before anything happens. Yes. If nobody reports it, then they're not going to look at it. It's as simple as that. So, lap 2 out of 14, the front 5, as you can see on your graphic on the left-hand side, yet to stop. That's Smokey J's, Alex Zaffro, Red Bull Kim, Mr. John, and Shep. The top 5 not pitted. Mike Noon. He has pitted, he is the net leader, but picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits. Jack Pearson is essentially then the net leader. Dark Shadow, he's yet to stop as well. And then it's Sam Hicks behind that, but he's also got penalties. Aidan, I don't know if you can tell me or let me know. I know there's 5-second penalties. Mr. John's picking up one there. Mr. Mike Noon, Dark Shadow, Sam Hicks. Are you able to tell me if Sam's is a speeding one or one he's got under safety car? Could you maybe inform me that? Because it'd be good to know with regards to the way this race is going to pan out.
I believe, I'm just having a look at the incident page, which I can't actually find it. His was for speeding in the pit lane as well.
So there you go.
So a bit of nastiness from these drivers.
First race of the season, easy to happen. You see that quite a lot. And we've got wing damage there, some carbon fibre flying there under safety car. Not too sure if it was Dark Shadow or Jack Pearson just in front of that. I'm going to try and get a look at it. It's Dark Shadow. Yep,
missing that one.
End plate. Yep, right end plate gone. He's not pitted yet. He's kind of out of sync with everyone else. He's a bit like the top 5 out of sync. So yeah, what a crazy start to the race. Just trying to take stock and understand the full situation. Well, there you go. Mike Noon, by the way, fitted the hard compound tyre at the pit stop. Aidan Griffins, what do you make of that?
That's the wrong call there from Mike. I think he needs, especially with that penalty, he's got to get a move on now. I think he's got the pace to get the gap to Jack. Jack will. He's notorious for picking up penalties, but then again, so is Mike. But the hards, he's going to have to fend off Jack in the early laps of this restart.
New year, new resolution from Jack Pearson, perhaps. Is he going to maybe? Oh, Red Bull Kim on the wall. He's out of the race. Red Bull Kim under safety car, parked in the middle of the road. He's crashed, lost the rear end.
Ericsson hit him.
Oh, I think Ericsson hit him indeed, and Red Bull Kim. Out of the race, the Danish Viking. Oh dear, what a shame for him. Oh, what a disaster after such a good start to the Grand Prix. Red Bull Kim on the sidelines already. Oh, we'll need to speak to him after the race and find out what happened there, but he's went and done a Grosjean. Oh dear. Thoughts on that one, Aidan?
Oh dear, indeed. Well, I didn't really catch much of it. Weaving just to get a bit of temp in the tyres and dropped it by the looks of it.
Yeah, not ideal from Red Bull Kim whatsoever. The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So there you go. The top 3 yet to make a stop. Dark Shadow as well yet to make a stop. So Mike Noon essentially the race leader, but he has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits, and he's fitted the slower hard tyres to go to the end, which we think is a bad decision. Jack Pearson is essentially, the net leader in all of this with that Mike Noon penalty and being on the faster tyre. You'd make him favourite, but as Aidan touched on, he likes a time penalty, and unless he's got a New Year's resolution and he's planning to stop those silly time penalties, then things are not going to work out too well, you wouldn't think. So we're going to wait and see. It's certainly a track where corner cuts are very likely, Aidan, isn't it?
That it is, but I think the key one here at the minute is, can Mike find his way through this traffic?
Yeah, he's going to need to, because he's on the hard tyre, so it wouldn't be easy, and it's not as if those tyres in the top 3 are particularly slow, or particularly old, I should say, as someone flew off in the background there. Not too sure who it was. It might have been Shep, but it is Smokey J's leading them away on lap 4 out of 14 in the opening race of the season. He heads up the hill ahead of Alex Zaffro.
Joe and Sam Mick have come together. Okay. Turn 1.
Okay, so we've lost Joe. He's gone for a spin. Let's try and pick that one up as quickly as we can. There he is, facing the wrong way.
Off for second penalty. Jackson the wall. Damage. Massive damage on that.
Yep, so Jack's...
That's that attempt gone then.
Yep, Jack's front wing in tatters, and that was because M-Shape lost it, I believe. I never caught it on stream. What happened, Aidan?
Came round, turn 3, swooping right-hander, ran wide, and then it's bouncing, it's up, down, came back onto the circuit and completely wiped out Jack. There's Smokey, Alex Zaffro trying to go for the lead in this race, softs versus mediums. Obviously these two yet to make a pit stop.
Yep, so it's going to be very interesting between these two. Mike Noon will just be a bystander now that Jack Pearson is on the sidelines and severely winded, so surely all things are looking good for Mike Noon. And that's very late from Alex Zaffro going into the braking zone, almost running into the back of Smokey J's there, almost caught out by how early Smokey J's broke there, but just about keeps it under control and nearly ran straight into the back of that racing point up in front, but he didn't, and he carries on his merry way. So Smokey J's leads from Alex Zaffro second, Mike Noon in third, but does he have the pace to catch these two on those slower tyres? It looks like he does. Oh, he's a little bit wide there, understeering Mike Noon, almost bouncing towards the barrier. You've got to feel now he's got to pounce with Jack Pearson having issues, and he's sliding everywhere. Goodness me, Mike Noon making hard work of this, struggling
Jack
to get temperature
in.
into those tyres, and Jack Pearson, as you'd expect, into the pits to change that front wing. A disaster for the Mercedes team.
That it is. It's not great for them, and especially just having to make that pit stop. And now it's a front wing. You're sat there for about 7 seconds. Might not seem a lot, but when you're changing that front wing for 7 seconds, it feels like an absolute eternity. And it looks like all the points now for Mercedes rely on the number 2 of Tom Smith.
Yeah, not going well at all for them, and now we've got indecisive out of the Grand Prix. We've got Shep out as well, joining Red Bull Kim on the sidelines, and we have a safety car again. Wow. So this is going to spice things up even more. Now you'd surely expect this time around Smokey J's and Alex Zaffro will peel into the pits, and that would then leave Mike Noon with a clean road to attack in front. But he will have Sam Hick behind him with the same amount of penalties, 5 seconds, remember. Let's just make sure that hasn't changed somewhat in the last wee while. No, it hasn't. There you go. So everyone, Mike, Sam, Dom and Chris, all 4 of them who will be fighting for the victory, are all going to have a 5-second time penalty. Wow.
That they are, and Sam Hickman is on the softer tyre. From a few laps I noticed in qualifying, he seems to have that bit of pace as well in him. It's whether they can extract it out of the car and maybe hand down Mike. Obviously Mike is very quick, especially at these 2 circuits. So Sam, I think this is his league racing debut, if I'm not mistaken. It's a great opportunity for him to win.
Yeah, great opportunity for Sam Hick. Great opportunity for Chris as well. Remember, he was right down the back of the field, was he not? Chris Thurgood. So he's had
he was, couldn't stay connected, yeah.
Yeah, 13th place gain. So yeah, he's up from last. Yeah, back row. So Chris Thurgood in with a genuine opportunity here of a good result. So this is all going to be very interesting. So yeah, Smokey J's into the pits, as you'd expect. Alex Zaffro carries on. Now that seems like a very strange decision based on the fact that there's been 2 safety cars, and the limit you can have on safety cars is 2 in a 25% distance race. So that seems like a strange call, Aidan, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think this is the first F1 game he's playing in a while, so maybe just rusty a bit, maybe just not really too fussed about his result, just maybe wants to get some track time, get used to the game and find his feet before Bahrain later on tonight. Yeah,
and have a little bit of fun out there, I suppose. Fair enough. Makes sense. And that's what I was like last night. I was having fun out there. I'm not very quick.
I had fun too.
Yeah, you had great fun. You won the race, for goodness sake. You had great fun out there. There you go. Great expert analysis alongside me in the commentary box. Our TGP1 winner this week, Aidan Griffiths. There you go, folks. As
not through outright pace, chaos like.
Yeah, but, the viewers don't need to know that. Win. The viewers don't need to know that, do they? And my controller's disconnecting, which is not what you guys want to see, but let's get that plugged back in. There you go. So, Alex Zaffro still in the lead of this race, still to make a pit stop. Mike Noon right behind him. Sam Hick, Tom Smith, Chris Thurgood, all with 5-second penalties, but all together on the road and all going to the end of this Grand Prix. You've got Mike Noon on the hard compound, and you've got 3 drivers on the medium compound. We're asking you guys in the comment section, we always want to get you involved. Who? Yes, who do you fancy from the victory from here? And Aidan, as a co-commentator, I'm going to have to put you on the spot. Who do you fancy for the win?
I'm going to say Mike. I think he's still got enough, I think, in the tank to pull away. But a dark outsider, he's a driver that shows glimpses of pace and then doesn't really fulfill it, and that's Baza.
Okay.
He was up there a couple seasons winning races, and now he's about 6th and 7th, and obviously he's not yet got a penalty.
Okay, well, of course, he's definitely an opportunity, because he's right now, he's essentially the net leader, because he has not got a penalty. But obviously, with the field spread you will get, just naturally, by there being 4 cars in front of him, there's a chance that gap may open up. But we'll wait and see. Yeah, dark horse, absolutely. Good opportunity for Baza. And into the pits now will come Alex Zaffro, it seems. So he's now decided now is the time to pit, and a set of soft compound tyres will go in that car, and it's going to be all about charging back through the field and into the points for him. He'll be 16th, he'll be last, or maybe not, he might just be 15th ahead of Dark Shadow, as you can see on the right hand side. A few other cars coming in as well behind that. Mr. John in with our new front wing. Joe Sayers in as well. So, you know what? Alex Zafro, fresh tyres. He's actually going to be around 13th place. So, you know, he's going to have a real charge on in the second half of this race, isn't he?
I think a person that maybe could have and maybe should have pitted on that lap again would have been Jack.
Yeah.
You should have pitted, maybe put on another set of softs. Just go for it. You've got nothing to lose. You're outside the points. Okay, he's 12th at the minute, but the people he dropped behind, he should be passing them quite easily, even on fresh softs.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point you make, Aidan Griffins. But Jack Pearson decides against that, and he's going to go on and carry on. The Mercedes strategists disagreeing with Mr. Griffins on this occasion. As we are now at half race distance in the opening Grand Prix of the season, it's been stop-start, let's be honest. Plenty of safety cars, not much in the way of goal-mouth action or on-track action, as they say. But it is Mike Noon who's in control. And, you know, we know there's not going to be another safety car in this race, so you know it's got the ingredients to explode, doesn't it? Top 4, top 5, all, you know, got a good chance here. You know, I asked you felt Mike Noon with a dark horse of Baza. I don't know what Chris Thurgood's pace is like on this game, right? I know he's quick on other racing games, and purely on that basis, I think he's got an opportunity. And the fact that he's gained 14 places already, I think that's strong evidence that this man has got pace today. And if he had not been disconnected, I think he would have been, you know, right up there, and he's proving it so far. So let's see what Chris Thurgood can do. It's anybody's guess as to who's going to win this race. And we'll have to.
I think we know it. We didn't really mention under the safety car. Dom picked up another 10 seconds work. I don't know if that was because of lag, because his car was jumping a bit, but he's now got 15 seconds worth of penalties. But I'm sure if it was lag, 2 of them would get removed. But it's still not great for him.
Yeah. Let's see. So that's not good at all then for Dom Smith. He'll need it removed, as you say. But the good news for him is he won't need to pit before the end of the race to serve it, because, you know, we know the rules in TGP. If you serve it in the pits, then you're kind of screwed, aren't you? Because there's no way they can, you know, make that 10 seconds, you know, fit in properly into how the race pans out. But here we go. The race is getting back underway at the end of lap 7. Smokey J is now picking up a 5-second time penalty as we get back underway. But this is what it's all about. The front on the opening night of TGP2 action here in season 27. It's Mike Noon that leads them across the line from Sam Hickman in second. Don't Chris the start. And Chris has gone for it already. Has he got him? Oh, he's side by side. He's lost the rear. He's round. He's in the wall. Thurgood going for it too quickly, and now he's going to be joining in the middle of the track. Thankfully, he ghosts. That was a really dodgy manoeuvre there from Thurgood. We've now got a car around. It's Blair Grills in the McLaren facing the wrong way, and he's out of the Grand Prix. Thurgood has damage, and that is not good for him. We're going to have to go back up to the front where it's all action. And look at Sam Hickman in that Haas. He's right behind Mike Noon on lap 8 out of 14 already. He's gaining. He's using overtake. He's in the slipstream. Is Mike Noon going to defend this one? Is Sam going to go down the inside? No. He decides to bail out, and in fact he clips Mike Noon. Touches the rear right tyre of Mike Noon's Red Bull. No damage done though, thankfully, to Sam Hickman, and that was a real opportunity to make a move, and he actually got caught out on the brakes, and now Dom Smith is lining up. Closing and closing and closing down into the braking zone. He's not going to be close enough, and it's still Mike Noon from Sam and Dom Smith.
That safety car wouldn't have helped Mike, because now the mediums haven't really been gone through the paces, so they wouldn't be worn out, so Mike could really find himself under pressure towards the end of this, and Sam is looking quite quick.
Yeah, you make a very strong point there, Aidan. Mediums will not be in crying for mercy at the end of this Grand Prix. They've had a nice charmed life under these 2 safety car periods, so you're absolutely spot on with that one. That does swing the advantage away from Mike, and there's Baza picking up a 3-second time penalty, something he cannot afford to be doing when everyone in front has 5-second time penalties. That's a wretched bit of luck there for Baza as he crosses the line in P4, but he's got Mr. Chiapelli all over the back of him as Mike Noon just eases out of DRS zone before reeled back in. Goodness me, this has got all the makings of a classic in the closing 5 laps in the opening round here in the desert of Abu Dhabi.
This is it. You need to push for position, but you also don't want to keep pushing to get penalty, so it's going to be quite close. I think that's Luca getting past Baz. That's a fantastic move in the AlphaTauri there.
Yeah, and Bossman Sean's going to follow him through and say thank you very much. Lovely stuff from Chiapelli, forcing the issue and making it work. Bossman Sean then up to 5th, and now Baza is under attack from one of the Pink Panthers. He's got 2 behind him, but the first one on the attack will be Smokey J's. We're watching from the rear wing of Bossman Sean. Is Smokey J's going to smoke one up the inside? Doesn't look like it. He's going to try to the outside, but there's no way through, and it stays as you wish. Bossman Sean 5th, Baza 6th, and Smokey J's in 7th. But I think this is about to change now, because look at Baza. He's flying off the corner. He's used some overtake there. He's going to the outside of Bossman Sean. Is he going to make it work? Round the outside he tries. Bossman Sean covers the inside well and holds on as Baza tries everything in his power to get through, but there's no way through, and Sean holds on.
That is fantastic defending from the Alfa Romeo, and Luca is starting to gain a bit on Dom and Mike Noon. And he's not got a penalty. Now, we said that about Baza, he then picked one up, but Luca has not got one yet, and he's 2.6 seconds behind Mike at the minute, so that is enough to win this race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's pick up Mr. Chiapelli right now then, as he's climbing all over the back of Dom Smith. These two good friends, of course, Mr. Chiapelli and Dom Smith, on and off the racetrack. Is there any way for Luca to get through on that car and climb up into the podium places and potentially more? Mike Noon, you've got to say, doing a stellar job on those hard compound tyres. Despite the difference in speed between the two compounds, he's holding that gap at 1.2 seconds. He's broke the DRS. He's doing the commanding thing that all race leaders should, and breaking that DRS and trying to give Sam Hick absolutely no opportunity to break through and get ahead. Now, this is a quote I've said to Dom Smith way back when I commentated on TGP back in 2014. Some 6 years ago. He doesn't respond well to pressure, and he's under pressure now from Mr. Chiapelli. He's going to go down the inside, DRS wide open, diving through is the AlphaTauri, and he's got the job done. Dom Smith can have no answer, and through goes Chiapelli, although he might be answering back very quickly because he's got the DRS wide open. Chiapelli doesn't have it to Sam in front, and Dom, with that Mercedes power, is going to swoop right round the outside into the biggie zone. There's contact between them. Dom's car goes wide, but just rejoins. Great stuff here, and Chiapelli holds on and gets it done. And wow, he'll be relieved at that one. We'll look like Dom was going to come straight back through, but he didn't manage it, and Chiapelli up to 3rd, and the march continues towards the top 2 places.
That could be a race-defining moment then from Luca. He had to clear, I don't want to say slower car, but Luca is quicker than Dom. He had to clear Dom as quick as possible because the gap was starting to get a bit bigger. Sitting behind Dom, it's now come back down to 2.5 since he's cleared the Mercedes, so Luca in prime position here to win that race, and that is a vital move. Vital
move indeed from Luca Chiapelli. Mike Noon still holding that gap at 1.2 over Sam, but remember, the key factor is Chiapelli has no time penalties. He is in pole position to win this. Will he know what the situation is for the other drivers? He should, if he's got the right settings on for his graphics. On the timing ladder, of course, a new addition to the game in recent months. It tells you the cars around you and what penalties they have got. As Chris Thurgood, speaking of penalties, picks one up. Let's have a little shuffle back to Smokey J's. He looks to be right in the thick of it. And there we go. Dom Smith, Bossman Sean and Smokey J's. That is the Mercedes, the Alfa Romeo and the Racing Point all charging down that back straight. And it looks like Bossman Sean fancies making a move on Dom Smith. He's gaining and he's gaining. We've got popcorn out here because we're in a front row seat on board with Smokey J's, and through goes Bossman Sean up and into 4th place. Can Dom do what he tried on the previous lap and make it stick this time? Let's see. Side by side they go again. Sean covers the inside, but look at the overspeed. Dom Smith powers past, straight back up and through into 4th place. Easy stuff. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Chiapelli. He is on the march, Aidan Griffins, isn't he?
That he is, and Mike has just picked up another 3-second time penalty, so that makes it 8 seconds. So he's going to drop down to about 9th as it stands behind Chris Johnson. Jack doing a fantastic recovery drive here. Dom holding up this train, and Jack slowly picking his way past Chris Johnson. He's now got Baza in front of him, but for once Jack's not got a penalty and is going to benefit massively from this.
Yeah, wow. Well, let's not speak too soon. We know what Jack's like with time penalties. So Smokey J picks up yet another one, but this New Year's resolution that I'm suggesting it might actually be the case. He might be coming to fruition here. I don't even know if he does, by the way, have a New Year's resolution for this, but the evidence so far suggests he does. So let's have a look at Mr. Chiapelli then, on board with that AlphaTauri, which of course in the hands of Pierre Gasly won the 2020 Italian Grand Prix last year. What an incredible race that was. Is history about to repeat itself in a virtual sense in the hands of Mr. Chiapelli. Closing now onto the back of Sam Hickman, and you've got to feel it's a matter of when, not if, he's going to get past this hash card. Doesn't it look like that, Aidan?
Definitely, but the thing is, he doesn't need to rush it, because Sam, it doesn't seem to be a slouch at the minute in this race. He's not closing up on Mike, but the gap, it doesn't need to be 8 seconds to go. He pulls to the left hand side. He's going to be later on the brakes there, and he flies past Sam Hickman. 13. Very close, but now can he get the DRS to come straight back at him?
We'll have to wait and see as Bossman Sean and Dom Smith are debating that 4th and 5th position once again. It looks like Sean is through in 4th place, and Dom is 5th with Smokey J's right behind him. Not too much on this particular lap between those guys in terms of squabbles down that back straight. So it's as you were, Mike Noon leading, but with those penalties in real trouble as Sam now picks up another 3-second time penalty. And who's that? It's Sam. Oh, it was Chiapelli for a moment there, and Sam is round and at a half spin. He's just about picked it up off the canvas, and is in 4th position behind Bossman Sean. So Sean up to 3rd now, and Sam down into 4th position. So many penalties. It's going to be hard to work this one out. Let's have a little look at those penalties again. We've got a yellow flag out there.
I think it's Alex Afro.
How do you get penalties up on this? Penalties, there you go. So there it is, folks. Mike Noon 8, Chiapelli 0, Bossman Sean 6, Sam 8, Dom Smith 15.
Jack is a net P2.
Wow. It's not like him, is it? He's doing He's doing a great job. Have a little look, Aidan. Tell me if how many warnings he's got. Is he on the brink? Let's see.
Let's just have a wee look, see. So I'll pick up Jack Pearson. He's on 1.
Wow.
Wow.
Well,
some things do change with that boy.
I didn't think they did, but I'm glad to be proven wrong. We'll have to wait and see if it does indeed work out like that. He's actually got a spare one in his pocket. Remember, folks, if you're just tuning in and you're not too familiar with the game, 3 warnings gets you a time penalty of 3 seconds. Jack, 1 warning all race long, keeping it squeaky clean, and at the minute, looks like he's going to be rewarded with a podium after all that. So, impressive stuff from Jack Pearson.
Oh, that's gone off. It's going to allow Smokey through. Dom went on the curb, lost the rear end, and that has allowed the Pink Panther to go skating through and into P5.
Yeah, well, Dom Smith, thankfully, is going to have a second bite of the cherry here. He's going to try and go round the outside. Nope, can't do that. Smokey Jace has that covered, and now Baza is, on his heels, just waiting to pounce on any more Dom Smith mistakes. Remember, I said it, folks, doesn't respond well to pressure, this man. And he's struggling under the pressure at the minute. So Mike Noon leads at the moment from Mr. Chiapelli in 2nd. Remember, Chiapelli should win it based on the time penalty situation. So he doesn't need to go attacking, does Mr. Chiapelli. It should be in the bag. Mike Noon is just all about pushing out in front and trying to ensure he doesn't drop too far down the order. Thankfully for him, quite a few cars behind also have time penalties. Let's have a little look further down the order. Let's go on board with Chris Johnson as we start this final lap in P9. Looks like there's quite the battle developing here in the midfield. Jack Pearson will know the penalty situation around him. He just knows to keep it clean, and he will be fine. As Joe Sayer picks up another time penalty. Jack Pearson a little bit out of shape through there, and that might allow Chris Johnson to get through. He doesn't want to be losing time here, Jack, because he's got positions to gain in front of him if he keeps it clean and tidy. But he's going to have the attention of Chris Johnson on this final lap. So let's see. Great entry from Chris there. Wide entry. Catapult on the exit should give him the exit he wants, but Jack Pearson presumably squeezing the ERS button to try and break away. But here comes Chris now, gaining and gaining. Jack Pearson going to defend fresh air, is he? Looks like it. Baza meanwhile in front of that, battling with Dom Smith, and Dom Smith has got the better of the Red Bull Racing driver and squeezes up into 6th position. So Baza down to 7th, now on board with Jack Pearson. It looks like a double act from the 2 Mercedes drivers. Baza defends the inside. Here comes Jack Pearson down the outside. Remember, he's not got any penalties, doesn't need to take risks, and he decides he's going to take the conservative option this time round and decides against it. And that looks like the end of the battling in this section of the field as Baza loses the rear end, and Jack Pearson will surely slide through. He does as they go past the marina and up into 7th place. Great stuff there, opportunistic driving, but we need to go to the front. Mike Noon coming round the final corner in the opening race of the TGP2 season here in Abu Dhabi. He's going to be the first man to see the flags. He'll be the man to set off the fireworks, but he won't be the race winner. It's the man behind him. Mr. Chiapelli wins the opening race here in Bahrain, in Abu Dhabi. Thanks to the time penalties, Chiapelli takes the opening race of the season, keeps his nose clean, no penalties. Big result. Mike Noon 2nd, remarkably, despite having 8 seconds worth of penalties. Jack Pearson comes home in 3rd. No penalties for him. That has got to be a shock on the opening race of the season. Bossman Sean 4th, Chris Johnson 5th, Baza with a solid 6th, Smokey J's a case of what might have been in 7th, Joe Sayre is 8th, Sam Hick 9th, and Angels versus Death gets a point in 10th, Aidan.
Yeah, solid stuff from most of the drivers out there, and especially from Jack Pearson. Getting, I'm surprised his car didn't break from that collision with M-Ship, but to pit and still get a podium is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm very impressed. Jack Pearson, level-headed, no mistakes, under control. Not characteristics you usually associate with him, but he's done the job today. Is he a contender for driver of the day in this race?
Yeah. Just because he never got a penalty, I think. It's just things we don't normally see from Jack.
And with the wing damage as well. You know what? I'm going to give it to him. Jack Pearson, driver of the day for me. But race winner, most importantly of all, you don't get points for driver of the day, but you do get points for winning the race. And that's exactly what Mr. Chiapelli has done here in TGP2 in the opener in Abu Dhabi. Lifts the trophy aloft. He, in the AlphaTauri, has won the opening race of the season. Mike Noon has to settle for second after time penalties, with Jack Pearson with no penalties in third. What a great race that was. It took a while, but it got going in Eden, and it was fantastic when it did.
It was. Once all the safety cars, once they had gone out of all their systems, it was, it was a very entertaining race. Very clean battles, a lot of good overtakes, but it was very good from these lads for the opening race.
Well, I went through the top three. Let's go through the rest. It's Bossman Sean in 4th, Chris Johnson in 5th, with F1 Baza, the Welshman, in 6th. Smokey J's, the Dane, in 7th, with Sayre Sports in 8th. Sam Hickman came home 9th. What a disappointing result that is after how well it was going previously. Angel versus Death gets a point in 10th. Mr. John, not to be this time. He's 11th with Dom Smith 12th. Alex Zaffro 13th with the North Korean Chris Thurgood in 14th. Dark Shadow 15th. Blair Grouse 16th. Didn't finish. Neither did Sir Tom Penguin, indecisive, M-Ship, and Red Bull Kim, embarrassed as he crashed under the first safety car. Ericsson hit him. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Ericsson might have hit him, but under the safety car, that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, it's not what you want to be doing. It's a sore one to take for Red Bull Kim. I'm sure he'll be gutted about it. Everyone in the comment section, as we wait to get going for the next race, go on, tell us, who was your driver of the day today? We always want to engage with you guys watching. Tell us who you're going for, but I'm certainly going for Jack Pearson. And Aidan, are you going with that too, just to be sure?
Yeah, Jack, yep.
Yep, so there you go. Jack Pearson gets the driver of the day from us. What are you guys going for at home? Jack Hitman in the comment section, buzzing for Sam, regardless of his penalty. He did a brilliant job. He did do a good job, but you got to feel there was more in that for him, wasn't there?
Definitely. He seems like a driver at the minute that has been learning the game for a while and now just needs to get to that next level. I think we've seen it in TGP2 from a lot of drivers recently. You know, we had it from, I think, Jack Craig. You know, won a few races, wasn't really going. And, you know, then he stepped up. We had it from Luca a couple of years ago. Me and Jack from 2017. Last year's champion, Alistair. Didn't win any of the first 6 races. Won one and it started going. He just needs, I think, a good result to sort of get the momentum going. That's when the results start to flood in. But for his debut, I think he wouldn't have finished. He didn't finish P9 on the road. I think it was 3rd on the road. But yeah, solid stuff from him.
Yep, and we'll be looking to improve on that as we go to Bahrain for the next race. Just having a little look at the other comments. Jackson27, he's gone for Sam Hickman. Phil Bardwell, he's gone with Luca for driver of the day. You can't argue with that either. He kept it clean, consistent, and got the best reward. You're absolutely right, Phil. That's a fair thing to say. Aidan has joined the comments and said, "Shut up, Phil." So obviously Aidan does not agree. Jordan, he's gone for Jack Pearson as well, the Sheffield Wednesday man. Fair enough. I have to totally agree with that one. So there you go. You've got the joy of seeing the championship order on the lobby there, because we've only done one race. Chiapelli, Mike Noon, Jack Pearson, the top 3 after that one. We'll obviously have to wait and see if any penalties get removed. We know Dom Smith got a 10-second penalty in there. They're usually the eye-opening penalties, aren't they? The ones you wouldn't usually get for corner cutting, and are the ones that are, you know, up for debate, Aidan, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Under the safety car, especially on this game, it can be quite dodgy. People hit each other, or you don't even go off the circuit and the game can give you a penalty for it. I know he's had some internet issues past couple of weeks, and his car jumps around the spot. So I think one was for a collision with Chris. I'm not sure again if that was lag or not, but I think one was for ignoring the yellow flag, but he actually stayed in position. So I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, and there was no delta at that point, so that one I think will get removed.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see how that adjusts the order, see if it adjusts positions. Well, things could happen with that. We'll have to wait and see. But we are about to get underway here at the Bahrain International Circuit. Now, I don't know what you think of this one, Aidan. There's a lot of history in this racetrack for me. 2004, when it first came on the calendar in real Formula 1, it was a bit dull. The racing was dull. The setting looked a bit dull. There's not those beautiful graphics that you see at the side of the racetrack now that, add a bit of colour to it. It wasn't a race I looked forward to, but, I'd say since the hybrid era, which ironically, in my opinion, is not really a good era of Formula 1, but I think since then, when they brought the floodlights, they brought a bit of colour to the place, DRS was introduced, it's actually produced some good racing, and it's been turning into a modern classic, isn't it?
I think Bahrain, yeah, I think it's one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. It's vibrant. Like you said before, it was just a bit bland, especially when it was during the day. It sort of highlighted that there was no colour around the circuit. But seeing all the floodlights, and they've got two excellent layouts. They've got this one, and obviously they've then got the layout which they used for the Secure Grand Prix, which I wasn't a fan of at first. I thought, it's going to be awful. The racing's going to be poor. It's just going to be a slipstream fest. But it gave us one of the best races for that season. You had Russell with the puncher, Perez winning. So I think Bahrain is definitely growing, especially now that it's a night race and not during the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure we'll get a hot lap on board and give you guys a lowdown on this racetrack. For anyone not too familiar with Formula 1, I'm sure most of you are, but we'll get a hot lap at some point. It looks like the first man out on the racetrack is going to be Dark Shadow. I've just had an interesting message from Dom Smith. Luca's lucky charm. He always wins when I'm on commentary. That's true. So, Luca, if you're listening, if you fancy paying me to be here every week, then no problem. I'll be here and you can win the championship. Yeah, it's incredible. He seems to win all the time when I'm on, and I don't know what it is. Lucky charm, apparently.
That he does. I remember when you came back for my title on F1 2017, and I went off and he won that race, and you were commentating that. So that wasn't brilliant.
So
yeah, you do seem to be his lucky charm.
So what you're saying is, don't commentate if you're racing.
Yes.
Okay then. So that clears that one up. Don't commentate when Aidan's racing, do commentate when Luke is. Anyway, let's get on with the on-track action, shall we? 16 minutes and 40 to go. 18-minute qualifying session, as always in the Formula 1 game. 18-minute qualifying, DGP format, 25% race distance. And of course, you can use any of the tyres in qualifying. The soft, the medium, the hard, whatever you fancy. But if you go for the balanced tyre option or the softer option, you don't get a set of hard compound tyres to use. And why would you use them? Because if you do use the hards, the chances of you qualifying inside the top 10 are pretty darn slim. So Aidan, we raced here last night. I did, you did. You won here. You're the expert. Tyre strategies, what are we thinking this weekend?
I think it's a mix. I think if you can qualify well on the mediums, I think that's the better way to go.
Okay.
That's only if you can qualify well. I mean, if you're outside the top 10, I think it's still worth it, but you're not really going to get the same effect. But yeah, medium to soft if you qualify well, or soft to medium, just like normal. Tyre wear, again, isn't massive around here, so it's not too bad.
Okay, so my next question is why? Why medium to soft here and not soft to medium? Is it because on the softs you might get stuck in a DRS train? Is that the kind of thinking behind it?
Well, I mean, first you're not going to need an early safety car to hamper that, but fresh softs towards the end. The tyre wear again here is not massive, but the undercut and the overcut attempt can work here.
Yep.
So if you've got fresh softs with people that have been on these mediums for a long time, especially here, you've got some corners where you need sort of the exit speed, and there's some high speed corners where the softs will just give you that grip. You just get the punch out the corners, you can get it down the straights, and you can just make the move into the likes of turn 1, and especially up the hill into turn 4. You just get that traction when everyone else is struggling. Okay,
well, we'll have to wait and see how everyone decides to go on tyre strategies then. Well, I'm sure we'll get an idea pretty soon of that. So the first lap times coming up then. It looks like Bossman Sean is one of the first men is going to get a lap time on the board. He won't be the first man. I think there's Smokey J's out there, maybe? Yes, there is. Smokey J's. He's on the medium tyre, so yeah, a few people listening to your strategy. Perhaps getting a sighter, perhaps really going to try and qualify on these. Here comes Smokey J's then for the line. 1 minute 27.3 to open his account. We've got Mike Noon going on a 1:26.0, smashes it on the soft tyres by 1.3 seconds, and Bossman Sean goes second on a 1 minute 26.4. So lap times flying in the opening part of this qualifying session. Let's see if we can get someone out there that might be about to start a flying lap in a few moments, and we'll take you for a lap around this wonderful Bahrain circuit. I think most people are completing laps at the moment as opposed to starting. What about Alex Zaffro? Is this him about to start one? No, looks like he's completing one. Jack Pearson, maybe? Let's have a look.
He's completing one as well.
He's completing one. So most drivers look they're completing one. By Jack Pearson's gone second then on a 1 minute 26.4. So Noon from Jack, from Bossman Sean and Sam Hickman, as Jack was very wide into that first corner. Don't want to be doing that, Jack, in the race, or your penalty curse will come back. But rejoins, out of the way, no problem for for Jack Pearson. 13.5 minutes to go. Mike Noon from Jack Pearson and Bossman Sean Eden.
I don't know, it's my favourite propose, definitely Mike. According to Jack, some of the times he's been doing of TGP1 levels of pace put him into the midfield. I think it would have actually, I think the times he was setting, according to Jack, would have put him ahead of me, and I qualified third. So Mike definitely seems to have the pace round here, so he's my favourite for Paul. I don't think anyone will get close to Mike.
Yep, okay, so you're going for Mike Noon, Aidan Griffiths. We'll have to wait and see if he is the man to beat. Of course, he'll be gutted after missing out in Abu Dhabi with those time penalties. Saw the flag first on the road, didn't win the race. That was all down to Luca, and that was, of course, because I'm the lucky charm, and we've got a Ferrari off in the wall. That's Josea through the high-speed right-hander in that second sector, just before you enter the third. That's up at turn 12 and 13, going off the track, making a big mistake, and lucky not to destroy the vehicle there. That was very close to problems for him. But he
probably
just
hit the curb heading up the hill.
Yeah, probably.
Death curb.
Yeah, it is a death curb, not the kind of curb you want to be on. But he's got away with it, thankfully, and no such drama whatsoever.
Alex Zaffo just put in a 1:28.3 to go ahead of his teammate by about a second and a bit to Sir Tom Penguin. So good luck from Alex Zaffo, just outside the top 10.
Another thing, Aidan, with 12 minutes to go, the first chance we're going to get to see if Chris Thurgood in qualifying trim. Do you think this will be a good indicator of how his pace will be over the course of the season?
I think so. Again, it all depends if he can stay connected, but he seems to be quick on the other racing games. He used to be quick on the likes of F1 2016 and F1 2015. But yeah, if he can stay connected, we could just see some laps from him. I think it would give us a better indication of what pace he's got, and it would make his races so much easier. He was in a fantastic place in Abu Dhabi, maybe went for it a bit too soon on Dom and put himself in the wall. Obviously, we haven't seen the alternative angles of that, but maybe just a bit of patience from him.
Yeah, well, let's go on board with Chris Thurgood then for a lap of this Bahrain International Circuit then. 15 turns, plenty of overtaking opportunities, 2 major DRS zones as he comes across the start finish line, 8th gear up towards 206 miles an hour, slams on the brakes just after the 150 metre board, but in this occasion he's gone a little bit too deep. He'll stay on this lap through turns 1 and 2. It's all about getting a good exit here to catapult up the hill. You're on the throttle for a long period of time, spot the braking zone. Again, right over to the curb on the left-hand side. You just want to carry momentum through here. Make sure you're feathering the throttle, carry it right out to the curb, and then sweep down the hill, left then right, tuck it in, then go left again. You want to just hang on through here. Hope you don't go too wide because the curb will spit you out, and then into the braking zone for this tight hairpin. Thurgood clearly struggling. Doesn't look as if he's got himself hooked up on this racetrack so far. And now this is really tricky. Probably one of the hardest on the calendar. Double left-hander, double apex. Easy to lock that left front, but Thurgood this time has it all under control. Opens up the DRS for one of the 2 occasions he can on the lap, and then sweeps it into this left-hander. I love this section of the track. Right out onto the curb, then move over to the left-hand side to straighten the angle through this long turn 12 and 13, and then bam, into the braking zone for turn 14. Another corner you can carry the car through, and Thurgood appears to have backed out the lap.
Validated it at the top of the hill.
Yeah, invalidated it. So he'll go again, but you know, that's most of the lap here in Bahrain. One more corner. Well, turn 14 and 15.
On a bit of pressure though. He needs to get a lap in, and he's on one at the minute.
So let's go to Dom Smith then. Currently 18th at the minute, no lap time on the board. We're looking for a special lap time to try and move him up the order. Not even halfway through the session yet, but you do feel like on this particular run you'd want to get a time on the board, wouldn't you? You don't want to be messing around in the last 5 minutes without a time on the board. So this is his banker, this is his opportunity just to get things under control for Dom Smith, and then go attacking at the end of the session with a banker on the board. So here comes Dom Smith round the final corner up to the line. What's it going to be? It's a 1 minute 26.7, and it moves him up into the top 5, and that's a solid enough effort. 7 days from pole. Now he's got something on the board to attack with later on in the session, Aidan.
Definitely, that's what you want. You want to get the dice rolling as quick as possible in qualifying. When you validate your first lap, it's not the greatest thing in the world. You feel that pressure on the second one. You just need to get a lap on the board. It doesn't need to be a world beater, but just getting one on the board, then you can build from that on your next runs if you have the time. But yeah, a decent lap from Dom, 126.7 from him, just ahead of F1 Baz at 86, and Mike absolutely flying, 125.6.
Yeah, half a second.
Quite fast.
See you later, everyone. Half a second up the road from Mike Noon. That is impressive. And Smokey J's is going to have to do a lot to find the time to beat that. Yeah, I think he's just done that lap time, that 126.1. He couldn't even beat Mike's initial lap time. So a warning sent out from Mike Noon. And Aidan, if you had a bet on Mike Noon, you'd be making some money, I think, because he is absolutely flying at the minute. Jack Pearson then crossing the line. He goes second, also a 26.1. They can't get near him. They can't get anywhere near him.
No, they can't. They cannot get near him at all. And are we going to see the same story as last season? In qualifying, you had Jordan and Alistair. They were worlds away from those two in qualifying. Obviously, in the races, they came a bit closer, but no one could touch those two in qualifying. And is Mike going to be that person this season that is just untouchable in the 18-minute qualifying session?
So what, we've got Luca Chiapelli out there, the race winner in the opening race of the season in Abu Dhabi. He's gone for the soft compound now to his first lap on medium, so he is improving by a considerable margin. I don't think it's going to be enough to get near Mike Noon, but it will boost him up the order and into the top 4. So consistency is key. He might not have the raw speed, but Luca Chiapelli proving to be a front runner again with that P4. And I suppose, Aidan, if you can stay out of trouble in TGP2, because it can be chaotic, there is a lot of safety cars, time penalties will hurt you if there's a late safety car. And sometimes it's all about just being clean, tidy, just not all about raw pace. And if Chiapelli can keep this up, who knows, maybe he could be a contender for the title.
Definitely, you don't need to be the quickest person in TGP2 to win it, and that's been shown over the past couple of seasons. As Joe's actually come across the line to finish his first lap, it's a 126.8 from him to put him inside the top 10. But yet TGP2, people will get penalties, people will crash into the arm codes, they will hit the barrier, safety cars will come out, VSCs will come out. And if you can keep your race clean, mind your own business, don't worry about anyone else, just head down, do the laps that you're supposed to do. You can get a podium like Jack, or you can win the race as like Luca.
Yeah, absolutely. As Baza is out there, the man you had down as a dark horse. I mean, I suppose he falls under the same category, doesn't he, Aidan? He's not the quickest, but if he's clean and tidy, he's going to have a chance. I suppose he's right under the same category. As here he goes through the middle sector, still only 8th quickest, 3/10 down through that second sector, and wow, he won't be going quick like that. That is off-road and some from Baza, almost doing an Albon style crash just a corner earlier, and wow, that was a big moment for Baza, and that is not how you go quickly. And of course he's invalidated the lap time, so Baza out. Everyone in the top 8 not on a lap. Joseph's just completed one. We're in a bit of a lull at the minute. Let's try and find someone, and I found Blair Grills going for a spin down at turn 6. Not ideal.
No, it's not. And just moving back onto the Baza point there, like you said, sort of the Albon reference. He's in the right car for it. You can put him down as a bit of an Alex Albon. He's got a really quick teammate in Mike Noon. Needs to keep up with him. But Basil over the last couple seasons, last 2 seasons or so, has sort of lacked the pace that he's shown in the past. He was up there for podiums, he would win races, but now he's qualifying sort of the 6th or 7th, down an 8th, and he's constantly stuck in traffic, getting penalties in battles where he shouldn't really be, or in battles that he doesn't want to be in. So you can sort of put him in that Albon bit where he's got a really quick teammate and he's not really quite there. He's in the perfect car for it as well. But yeah, I think if Baza can get back to the level he was, getting podiums, winning races, he could be a title contender, definitely with all the penalties and incidents, and obviously people maybe getting quality bans off into the future. But yeah, I don't think he's quite there anymore. He just needs to find that next step again to get him back up there.
Well, Chris Thurgood, by the way, 10th, he's just gone, and he's going again. He's gone for 2 laps on the soft compound tyre. So are we seeing him finally get into the groove? No, we're not. He keeps... I just don't think he's hooked up around this track, confident in the braking zones yet, Chris. That's quite a few times I've been on board with him now, and he just seems to overshoot the braking zone by quite a distance, misses the apex, and he's losing bundles of time. It appears clear that Chris hasn't really put the hours in, hasn't put the practice in. I suppose most drivers, or a lot of drivers in TGP2, are just here for the fun of it, and we know Chris has got talent without having to practice. It's just extracting that little bit more in qualifying, isn't it?
Yeah, he does. That corner, I think it's turn 7 or turn 8. It's a very difficult corner. He's having a second up, actually. He's just invalidated it. That's not what he wanted. So
furious.
He's still improving massively, even making these mistakes. So yeah, you're right. There is talent there. He doesn't really need to practice. But yeah, turn 7 or turn 8, I can't remember which one it is. It's a difficult corner. You know, you're coming down the hill. You're trying to stay off that exit curve on the right-hand side because it will spit you out. You're also trying to catch the rear sometimes because you're heading down the hill. The rear sort of gets quite light, and getting the car stopped can be a difficult thing. You get the understeer into that corner. But so far, it is harming him a bit, but he seems to have the pace. Again, just can he extract it?
I think the two Renaults have got a little plan going on here. They're 15th and 16th in the order. They're next to each other in the racetrack. Was there a potential ploy between those two to try the slipstream tactic? You know, we've seen it a lot in the esports series, haven't we? Cars trying slipstreams, and this is certainly a track you can do it on, Aidan, isn't it? Was that maybe what they tried? Obviously, Alex is quite a distance ahead of Sir Tom Penguin. I'm just suggesting they might have tried it. I'm not saying they did, but we'll have a little look here as Alex pulls over. Is he going to get a tow back from Tom Penguin? Let's have a little look. I think that's what they are trying to do, you know that? Let's have a look.
What? They might have spoke about it in the office yesterday before...
Yeah, because they work together, don't they?
Work today, yes, that they do. So they might have spoke about it in the office, but 15th and 16th is not where Renault want to be, especially after last season, just missing out on the constructors. But 15th and 16th is it's not the worst, but it's also not brilliant. But we know these two do have a bit more pace than what they're showing at the minute. It's again, can you extract it? We keep saying this about the drivers, so Tom Penguin's gone for a bit of a spin, but we keep saying this over and over. Some drivers just aren't getting the maximum of what they can do. Chris is one of them, maybe Dom. Mike certainly is. 25.6 is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and by the way, under the radar, Sam Hickman, the brother of Jack Hickman, showing that it's all in the genes. He's quick as well. 125.9, lowering the gap. And now only 3/10 between he and Mike Noon. The only other man in the 25s. Are we witnessing a rising star in TGP2 here?
Well, we could well be. I'm teammates with his older brother, and he gives you a good run for his money. Mike's just started his lap as well. He's giving Baz a tow, so it's maybe to try and get him ahead of the Mercedes. But Sam, looking like if you're not quick enough to win, you need to be the next car. And at the minute, he is definitely trying to be that next car.
Well, he's coming around the final corner. Is he going to pit? Yes, he is. So it will be second at best for him. Mike Noon, by the way, has gone off in his latest lap, so I'm sure he'll maybe have time for one more. He's really dirtied the tyres. I hope he's not in a big spin, because if he does another lap on those, he might have damaged them quite significantly. We'll wait and see. 1 minute to go in the session. It's Mike Noon with that 1 minute 25.6. Quickest of all at the minute by 3/10 to Sam Hickman, who will not be going again. That's it. Smokey Jesus is on an outlap. Jack Pearson flying through sector 1. Oh, 1.5 tenths up on his previous best. There's an opportunity for the Mercedes man, who looks to be a new man this year, without any penalties to his name thus far. As Chiapelli now goes second quickest, only a tenth away from Mike Noon. They're finding time. They're catching up to Mike Noon. Has Mike Noon got more in the pocket though, Aidan? That's the question.
Well, this is Mike. He may well have some more in the pocket. Is he going to get another lap? And when is he on circuit? He will get another lap in, so he's, I believe, going to go for it again. But can Jack find that next level, get into second, get in a third, or take pole like he did, well, try to take pole in Abu Dhabi, find it all in the last sector, because he's absolutely flying. 4 and a bit tenths found by Jack Pearson. That's on his own time. He's got a couple more to find, roughly, if he's going to take pole away from Mike Noon. But this man is reborn this season, it seems. Jack Pearson throws the Mercedes into the final corner and heads for the line. Is it going to be pole? Is it at least going to be a front row spot for Jack Pearson? It is pole! He's done it by a fraction of a tenth. Unbelievable effort, a mammoth effort Mike's
from Jack
finding
Pearson
time
to get it on pole, but Mike Noon isn't finished yet. What a session this is turning into. Chiapelli's bailed out.
Finding a lot of time.
Go on then, Aidan, take us through it.
Mike finding a lot of time in that first sector, about a tenth up, but obviously you might get a bit of a total. There is a car down this back straight. There is the Pink Panther, but now it's finding the gears, get the speed all the way. You want to head up this hill with as much momentum as possible. Get the braking right, you don't want to understeer here. And this looks like what he's done. You don't want to hit that exit curb, that's going to compromise his whole run up this hill. There's about a tenth and a half in the first sector. Was he in the middle? He's only just up, and it's not enough in that middle sector. But can he find more in this last? You would have wanted maybe that racing point to stay ahead of him down this straight and then pull out towards the braking zone. But he's not going to get that. Oh, and he's made a meal of that last corner. It's not going to do the under tray any good at all. But it is up to the line for Mike Noon.
No.
And it is not an improvement. He just lost time as the lap went on.
He did lose time. It's just got away from him, and we didn't expect it. We could probably say it's a bit of an upset. Mike Noon looked like he was in total control of this qualifying session. It looked like he had something in the bag, half a second clear for more than half the second session, but he's been reeled in by the likes of Jack Pearson, Chiapelli and Sam Hickman, and in the end Jack Pearson just pips him by around half a tenth. Great effort from the Mercedes man, who'll be looking to lead from the front and convert that pole into a victory, something that he struggles to do quite often and gets himself involved in chaos. Didn't do that last time out. He'll be looking to repeat that and get the victory this time, Aidan, won't he?
Yeah, exactly. He is quite strong at this circuit. I've had a great battle with him in TGP2. Even, I think, last season, I think he finished second or maybe even one, I can't quite remember correctly, but he is very strong. In the sprint sections, he was giving myself a run for the money. I kept panicking. I was thinking, am I too slow here? But no, Jack just does have that pace around here, but I think Mike will be disappointed. He was in utter control of this session, and it slipped away from him at the end.
Yeah, what a shame for Mike Noon. What a qualifying session that turned into at the end, and what a grid we have lined up. There's quite a few drivers in with a shout in this Grand Prix. You've got to say that the stars of the show, Jack Pearson, great effort. Mike Noon, what a start to his season. Chiapelli, race winner last time out, now starting from third position in this Grand Prix. And of course, the debutant on fire, making a name for himself here in TGP2. Sam Hickman, what an effort to be only 3/10 away from pole. And on opening night, could it be a dream victory in the offing? Remember, Sergio Perez won his first race here. Can Sam Hickman do it? We'll have to wait and see.
That we are going to have to wait and see, but yeah, debut night, it couldn't really go much better for him. I think the penalties let him down in Abu Dhabi, but the performances are strong. He's getting the car in the right positions, and he is only 3/10 off pole, and two very experienced drivers who've been doing this for a very long time. Yeah,
and we should also mention Chris Thurgood looks to me like he's slowly warming to the occasion, isn't he? Slowly warming to the task at hand, up into 6th place now, and good effort from him. He's only 7/10 off pole, and I mean we don't know, but I doubt Chris Thurgood does much practice. I mean, we know how quick he can be. On his day practicing, we know this man's TGP1 quality, isn't he?
Definitely, he can be in the top tier of TGP, but it's whether he can get back to that. I think because obviously he's got a child, and naturally maybe that sort of distracts him a bit from doing as much practice as he wants, and maybe it's also from doing practice at all. But if he is doing no practice, he's putting in some decent performances.
Yep, he sure is. He's putting in a fine performance here today. Well, there is the final grid then for the race in Bahrain under the lights, round 2 of the championship. Jack Pearson snatching that pole right at the death with Mike Noon in 2nd. Mr. Chiapelli lines up in 3rd with Sam Hickman impressing in 4th. Smokey J's in 5th with the North Korean Chris Thurgood in 6th. Bossman Sean is 7th with Josiah in 8th. Tom Smith, his old foe, alongside in 9th. And Baza rounds out the top 10. So, quite the grid. Aidan, pre-race, who are you going for?
I'm not quite sure, because I could end either way with these two on the front row. So I'm going to go Mike. I think he's got the pace again to win this race.
Okay, well, you're going for Mike again. He let you down with your money last time, Aidan. Will he let you down again? You'll be hoping not. So, not far away now from getting underway here in the desert. The second race in a row in the desert As Chris Thurgood joins back, I hope his little daughter Lily isn't pulling out the internet cable every 2 seconds to annoy him. I'm in the party quite often with Chris, and that tends to be the kind of thing you'd expect from little Lily, isn't it, Aidan?
Or playing with a digestives wrapper. I think that seems to be quite common.
Yeah, or making a mess and making a nuisance. But
or just screaming the house down.
Hopefully that's not the case then. For Chris, it looks like he's going to have to sit this one on the sidelines as the 5 red lights go out, and we are underway again in race number 2 of the season. We've got a bit of an incident going on in the background, but it's Jack Pearson leaning down to turn 1. Mike Nooney's always the last of the late breakers. How late does he dare to break into that first corner? Late, but not late enough. Jack Pearson holds his lead. Look at that from Chiapelli. That looked a bit aggressive, and he's round and into the wall and in real danger already. So Chiapelli is round. Meanwhile, up at the front, Jack Pearson leads the way from Mike Noon and Sam Hickman in third. Wow, crazy stuff. Look to me, look, I got in a little too hot, and now Smokey J is through on Sam Hickman down the inside. Great move there, Sam Hickman, just a little bit out of shape. Through he goes, and Smokey J has had a flyer.
Yep, just simply far too aggressive from Luca. I've got pinched there myself on lap 1. I just let the Red Bull go. There's no point in spinning yourself out or getting damaged this early on in the race. You've got loads of laps where you can fight the position back again, maybe get him in the pit stops. It was just too aggressive from Luca and unnecessary.
You're absolutely right, completely unnecessary. We were talking about how it's all about being consistent, and that's not what Luca's done here. You don't have the pace, at least be consistent. Sam Hickman all over the back of Smokey J's, but there's no way through. He's a little bit hot into the corner, and now he's under pressure from the fast starting Joe Sayer, who's up 3 places from his starting position. The Ferrari man finding pace here in Bahrain under the lights. Where does this come from? From Mr. Sayer Sports, and look, he's got a run on him. He's got a run on Sam Hickman. Won't be close enough this time round, but certainly down the back straight he will fancy his chances. So here comes the Ferrari firing out the final corner as we come to the end of lap number 1 out of 14, and Sam Hickman defends to the pit wall. Joe Sayer right up in the slipstream behind him. Hickman defends the inside. Joe will be forced to that outside line. Can he drive round the outside of the Haas? Doesn't look like it, but he might get through on the inside because Hickman's gone deep. Not deep enough, and he holds on just about. Desperate stuff, but here comes Joe again. Sam defending to the inside. Joe looking left, looking right. Is there a way through? Doesn't look like it, and Sam holds his ground very well indeed for a debutant.
And it is fantastic move. He was a bit late on the brakes into turn 1, but he covered off turn 1 fantastically well. He went deep, but he's still done fantastic to sort of block the angles off for Joe. And there was a spinner in the back. It's now Alex Zaffro. Fantastic start for him. He was up in, I believe, 11th or 12th there, indecisive spun. And then Alex Zaffro has spun at turn 4, so maybe doing a Sebastian Vettel-esque spin.
Yeah, we've got a championship leader in the pits, by the way. It's gone from hero, literally, to 0 for Mr. Chiapelli. He's in real danger already. He needs a safety car, really, or his race is run. And he's also got a penalty of some sort. Not too sure what it was for, but not going well for him. Interestingly, out front, Jack Pearson not doing what we've seen from Mike Noon in recent weeks. Or last week in Abu Dhabi, and pulling away out of that DRS zone, and he's going to be under threat pretty soon. Not yet active, the DRS, so Jack Pearson should be able to defend for another lap, but look at that, it's already looking like a front free battling for victory, and Jack Pearson's gone wide, and that's a mistake, and the Red Bull will be all over the back of him now, and Mike Noon pulls alongside to surely take the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix at the start of lap 2. Jack Pearson coming straight back at him down to turn 1, but Mike should have the high ground and should have the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and he does. Jack makes the error and Mike pounces, Aidan.
They've got to keep an eye out for Smokey.
Yeah, here he comes, side by side. Smokey J's up the hill. Is he going to take second place from Jack Pearson? Oh, that was aggressive! Very aggressive from Smokey J's. Perhaps a little uncalled for, and he might just pay the price on the exit. He will. Mike Noon straight back through, and Smokey J's there had me on the edge of my seat. I almost hid behind the couch, Aidan Griffins.
That was absolutely incredible. It was ballsy, maybe too ballsy, but
yeah.
It didn't really cost him his position in the end. He has stayed in second place, so it's not the worst thing in the world for him. But this is allowing Sam Hickman back in it.
Yeah, it is, and he'll be delighted about that. It was a bit of a shaky start, let's be honest, for Sam Hickman, just getting his bearings in the race. A couple of outbreaking mistakes, a couple of little slidey moments allowed him to drop back a little bit. He's had a little bit of respite, but he's still got Joe Sayer climbing all over the back of him still. It should allow these guys to close in, but this track is just so exciting, so enthralling on this game and in real life. We touched it at the top of the show, how the DRS is just so powerful and it creates great racing around this racetrack, and I'm sure we're going to see more of it. And Mike Noon might have a 6/10 gap, but that was about to evaporate as the DRS is now active. Smokey J's 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, and we're only on lap 3. That's not a good sign. And here comes Smokey J's. This is what I was talking about. DRS, he's absolutely flying, and he's going to breeze alongside Mike Noon and take the lead away into turn 1.
Joe Hickey.
Joe and Hickey behind that. We'll go to that right now. There he goes, the Ferrari. Brakes too late. Hickey will dive straight back underneath him. Let's go back to the front because Mike Noon is right in the slipstream behind Smokey J's, trying to fight back. Can he do it down the inside? He's going to give it a go. That's contact. Surely it is, but only just. And they get away with it. I thought for a moment there they were both going to go spinning, Aidan.
Definitely. Normally when you hit someone's rear axle like that, your car is going to go spinning, but Mike caught it just in the air, maybe going not quite quick enough for the momentum really to swing the car around. But it's cleanish, but it's very close from these two.
Yeah, it is very, very, very close. Right on the line, and somehow still the likes of Sam and Joe unable to close, but I suppose they've been battling each other themselves, so you know it's difficult to close when you're battling as well. But it is Smokey J's in the lead, but you know I feel like this is just going to chop and change lap after lap after lap, isn't it? Under the safety car, we've got a yellow flag out there, not too sure why, because the area of the track doesn't show a car there, so don't know what that's for. But here is Mike Noon right behind Smokey J's, who, as you'd expect, defends that inside, tries to stop the toe, moves back to the inside, no harm in that, and he will hold that lead. Look at the lock up there from Smokey J's. Let's have a little look then from his rear wing. No sign of the overtake being used. Mike Noon happy to sit there at the moment. Now moves into that DRS. He'll gain and gain and gain, and that Red Bull will get ever closer and closer. Is he going to go for it? There's a little look up the inside, but no more than a look. Smokey J is perhaps a little bit flustered by that, missed his braking point, missed the apex, and now he really is prey to Mike Noon. The Pink Panther moves across to defend that inside line. Mike Noon gaining and gaining. We're going to have a repeat for the third lap in a row. Mike Noon trying round the outside. Go on, my son, that would be some move, but no, can't do that. Smokey J holds off, and Mike Noon has to abandon that effort. But interestingly, Jack Pearson dropping to the tune of a second almost behind these two now.
Definitely not. He's definitely not got the pace that these two have at the minute. Maybe falling into the clutches a bit of Sam Hickman. But the last thing Sam wants is Joe attacking him, because he's trying to catch up to these three. And it's not really working out for Sam at the minute. He needs to shake Joe if he wants any chance of catching up to these three, because he's too busy defending.
Yeah, absolutely right. Doesn't look like he's got the pace in the pocket as Mike Noon. He's, you know, I just love the way Mike Noon drives sometimes. It can be a bit over the top at times, but it is edge of the seat stuff to watch, and he just goes for it. And you know, we've seen that from Smokey J's as well. It's almost like two peas in a pod, isn't it, Aidan?
Definitely, you can kind of call them both maybe Verstappens. They don't like backing down. They want to win. They don't want to sit for second. If there's a move, they go for it. Yeah. I think it's as simple as that.
And I think we're about to see one here. Are they both coming into the pits? Oh, Smokey J's does. Mike Noon with a little bit of a dummy tactic there, bails out. Into the pits comes everyone else though. We've got Smokey J's, Jack Pearson, Jack Hickman.
Joe got damage from hitting Hickey on pit entry.
Yeah, so Joe's got damage from hitting. Oh, that's a shame for him. He's having such a good race. Joe's actually gone into the hard tyre as well. Now that doesn't seem like a wise call. So things not going well for him. But Mike Noon carries on his way on another lap. So the pit stops will sort themselves out. Smokey J's ahead of Jack Pearson, it would seem, in the pits. Let's have a little look then. There they are rejoining. Smokey J's ahead of Jack Pearson, ahead of Sam Hickman. I just called him Jack Hickman, goodness sake. One race in and I'm making that mistake already. So, Sam Hickman rejoins behind Jack Pearson, 1.6 back as he tries to get some heat into those tyres. But Mike Noon, you'd think, would be in at the end of this lap, wouldn't you, Aidan? Yeah.
Yeah, that is my name, yes, Andy, yes. Yeah, definitely. I think it's time to overtake Rich Brooks. You use whatever life these tyres have now got. It's a brilliant chance to jump him, or even just maintain position with Jack and Hickey coming in. So it's all on Mike at the minute. Yeah,
it's all on him. And wonder how it's looking for him. He's 4.6 ahead of Baz at the moment, both Red Bulls, so one of them will probably have to stay out here. Is that around the gap you could both pit, Aidan, 4.5 seconds, or is that not really safe enough?
For the cooldown thing, I think you need about 9 to 10 seconds. It's something stupid.
Okay, thanks for that. So in comes Mike Noon then. So you can expect Bazza to carry on his merry way. So this is potentially a race-defining pit stop for Mike Noon. Into the pits he comes, and up on the jacks he will go, and like clockwork they will get to work. On go the medium compounds, and away he goes. Lovely stop from the Red Bull team. Where are his rivals? As he makes his way down the pit lane, Look at the driver tracker, the pink and the blue car are the two you want to look for. It's going to be close. Let's go back to the racetrack. On board with Jack Pearson and Smokey J's. Look to the right hand side. It's close, and ahead has gone Smokey J's, and maybe even Jack Pearson as well. Look how close that's going to be. Jack Pearson and Mike Noon touching through turn 1, but Jack Pearson with the warmer tyres and the momentum gets ahead of Mike Noon and is up into what would be a net second place, but Mike Noon's not giving it up. He's on the inside. Is he going to go for it? Of course he is. It's Mike Noon, for goodness sake, and he's done it. Great stuff from Mike. Jack just had to concede, and through he goes.
Fantastic stuff there from Mike. It was like Sainz Stroll all over again. Sainz leaving the pit lane out of turn 1, but thankfully no side pod damage for either of them or in this game, thankfully. But that is a brilliant move at turn 4 there for Mike, and now he can set his sights on Smokey, who has got a bit of traffic.
Yeah, he sure does. Now, I say this all the time. If you are the lead car against cars that you're not really racing, do not find yourself on the outside. Always get to the inside, and Smokey J's does that, because they don't care who they're racing. You know, if you're on the outside, they'll just squeeze you to the outside, and you know what that means? That means your rivals right behind you that you are racing will just slither through on the inside and say thank you very much, and that could happen easily. Mike Noon now passes Mr. John. Mr. John being rather compliant, not putting up much of a fight amongst these guys. Now Jack Pearson will be next to have an attack, and you think this should be easy enough as well down the straight. Won't go for it now, too early. Into the pits comes Bazza, so that removes one of those cars. Mr. John to the inside, he's coming in as well. Someone else came in, that was Angel versus Death, so the only two out there now, only one out there, is Chris Johnson, and he's Smokey J's teammate, so will that mean anything? Although he is 12 seconds up the road, so it might be academic.
Might be too late by that point, yes, but a car to watch out for is 5th place at the minute, Sam Hickey. If he maybe uses that battery a bit more, maybe puts it into Rich, he can maybe close up to these guys. He's not got anyone really behind him anymore, so now he can sort of use like tunnel vision. You've got Jack ahead of you, keep an eye on Jack and let's close that gap, because now this is your chance. You don't have anyone to defend from behind you.
Smokey J's is gone! He's off! He's in the wall! He's out of the race! Smokey J's in the race lead! Had it all under control, and now he's out. He's in the barrier, and he's out of the Bahrain Grand Prix on lap 8 out of 14, and the safety car has been deployed. Disaster!
Chris Johnson! This is perfect for the racing point of Chris Johnson. He needed to come in for softs anyway.
Oh my goodness! Throwing things up in the air. One racing point hits disaster, the other hits the jackpot. Chris Johnson then can pit now on his medium tyres and surely stick a set of the soft compound on and run to the end and not lose much time either. Free pit stop.
And it is a free pit stop, and the gap is what, 13.5 seconds. So that it pretty much is half the pit stop time. It'll be quite close. I think he might just come out ahead of Mike. It's going to be quite close though, actually, between these two. Depends when the delta disappears.
Massive moments in this race. Chris Johnson moves away, Mike Noon through, Jack Pearson through, Sam Hickman through. Chris Johnson might just rejoin this race in 4th place, you know. Oh, it's going to be close. Bazza gets ahead. Dom Smith trying his best, but Chris Johnson gets to the safety car line first. Remember, Dom, remember the rule about the safety car line? I'm sure Tom Boker brought that to your attention before around this racetrack, did he not? Had to get that one in there. Yeah, so Dom Smith, P6, Chris Johnson, P5, but on soft tyres and going to the end. Bazza, though, he's on fresh mediums himself, so both of them really hitting the jackpot, but particularly Chris Johnson.
Yeah, definitely fresh softs. I think the only downside is he's only really going to have maybe 2 or 3 laps to really use these softs at their best, because obviously this car is going to maybe come in about lap 11. So it's good for position, but it's whether he can actually have enough time to use these tyres and maybe get onto the podium.
Yeah, what a curveball this is thrown to us, and especially a mid-race safety car like this, Aidan, because, you know, with so few laps left, it's going to be frantic, frenetic, it's going to be wild, the closing laps, because we know what the DRS is like, we know how the slipstream works around here. The last lap, or potentially the last lap of the penultimate lap, is when the DRS will be activated. It's going to be chaos.
Definitely, everyone's going to have, this is the perfect chance to resave the battery, get it back to 100, so most people are going to have full batteries. There's a great chance to save some fuel, get the engine temp down, especially if you've been running in dirty air. Obviously, after a certain temperature, it will affect the power outage that you are getting The driver to watch though, as well as Chris Johnson, is Luca. He's just pitted again for a set of softs, and we know he's a very quick driver behind drivers that he is roughly about a second a lap quicker though, especially on these softs. So can he get himself back into the points here? Because points is probably the best thing that he can hope for now.
Yep, going to be very interesting to see how this pans out then. So let's take stock in what's been a very enjoyable Bahrain Grand Prix. We've had to wait 9 laps for a safety car that was brought out by the net race leader, Smokey J's, losing the rear of his car on the curb, making his way down towards that first of the 2 hairpins, slewed across the track a la Lewis Hamilton back in 2008, into the barrier on the opposite side of the track and bringing out the safety car. Curtains for one racing point, joy for the other. It brought out the safety car, and Chris Johnson essentially got a free pit stop and rejoined the race in 5th on a fresh set of softs, with the top 4 all in front of him on older, slower, medium tyres. What an opportunity. Do you think he's got the pace to manage it, Aidan? Who do you fancy from here?
I think we'll see the same 3 on the podium. I think it will still be Mike, Jack and Sam. In what order? I don't have a clue. I think Baza will make it difficult for Chris. I think 4th for Baza is still fantastic, so he will make it difficult for him. I think a car to watch as well is... I'm not quite sure if it's out of sync or if he really is a lap down, but Alex Zafra apparently for me is 18th, but if you go on board with him, he's sitting behind Chris in 8th, but I don't know if he's out of sync or not.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It says 1 lap, so I think that's right, 1 lap. So he's a lap down, I think.
Oh, Sam's got a penalty!
Oh, I don't believe it!
Bazza got one as well. They've hit each other. Now,
the good thing about this, I know there's a few Sam Hickman fans watching this, believe it or not. There's quite a few supporters.
There are a few in the chat, yeah.
Yep, not often we get people being supportive to one particular driver and with so many people. But, to those watching, you won't have to serve that till the end of the race. So there's a chance that might get taken back off if it's seen to be an unwanted penalty, and Bazza's at the back of him again, and he's damaged the wing, and that gives...
He's given him a second one!
He'll give him a second one, but I don't think he'll keep those penalties, so let's just ignore those, right? I mean, we'll call the race as it is, we'll call it with the penalties, but I would advise you guys to take the final result with salt, a pinch of salt, if it does turn out that Sam's losing places. So we'll wait and see how it pans out, but about to get back underway though, because obviously that's not Sam's fault for those penalties, not at all. But anyway, here we go. We're about to get back up and running. We've got 4 laps to the finish. Who is going to win this topsy-turvy Bahrain Grand Prix as we come out the final corner and start lap number 11? It's Mike Noon in the lead, and Jack Pearson has got a magnificent run going down to turn 1. It's racing side by side into that first corner. Is he going to get through? Jack Pearson solely in the brakes. Mike Noon can defend all he can, but Jack is through. But here comes the switchback.
Hickey's dropped it!
And Hickey's dropped it again. It's all unravelling for Sam Hickman once again. At the end of a Grand Prix, Mike Noon ducks back underneath. Jack Pearson then retakes the lead of the Grand Prix, and Jack Pearson's late manoeuvre into turn 1 did not work out at all, and things have not worked out at all for Sam Hickman either. Disaster.
Bazza's got damage, and Chris obviously is in prime position now to see this podium. Bazza got damage from hitting the back of the hash straight up the inside. Fantastic there from Chris. Can Dom find his way back up into these positions? Can he get forth? Bazza is actually trying to hold on to this. I knew, set him in the safety car. Bazza's going to make this difficult for Chris, because 4th for Bazza are quite there at the minute, but Chris has got to clear him quickly though, because Dom is coming.
Yeah, Dom is coming. He's got to clear him quickly if he wants to win this race. There's a genuine opportunity for Chris Johnson on these tires to win this race, and he's making the move now, and he's got it, and he's made it stick on Bazza. No messing around from Chris Johnson. It was a formality, you felt, but it was crucial. He got it done there and then, and he's through and up into 3rd place, and he's got 2.8 seconds to the lead of this Grand Prix and Mike Noon to take a stunning victory at the cost of his teammate in the barrier.
There it is. Luca has just made his way back up into the points as well. Sam's gaining some positions again, but here comes Dom on Bazza. Bazza goes defence. That was quite late, but I think it's absolutely pointless at this point. And Mercedes will be rubbing it at the minute. 2nd and 4th for them. I think 3rd maybe out of question with Chris. And now tyres, and Bazza's hit the back of Dom. Yeah,
Bazza really struggling to spot the braking points at the minute, and it's not working out at all well for him. I think Red Bull Kim was in the points for a moment there. I almost had a nosebleed. I couldn't believe it. He was so high up. Sam, by the way, recovering to 6th place at the moment. Chris Thurgood has got damage too in 7th, so he's going to be wounded and struggling. Blue Girls in 8th, Joe Sayer 9th, and Chiapelli down in 10th, but miraculously getting points out of this from nowhere. Of course, there's penalties.
That's the best thing you can hope for at this point.
Oh, and Hickman up the inside of Baza should get that done on Baza with the wounded car, and he's through and up into the top 5. Crucial move there from Sam Hickman.
That was fantastic, brilliant move from him. It's like he's been racing for absolutely years there from Sam. Absolutely brilliant move, getting up into turn 7 or 8. I still can't remember what that is. I probably should count the corners, but yeah, brilliant from Sam. And just back to that turn 1, it just looked like that bit of inexperience there, getting a bit too excited with the top 2 fighting ahead of him, and just dropped it. But yeah, fantastic. Jack's had to pick up a penalty then, so that kind of rules him out of it. There we go. Jack's back to normal.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah, Sam, if he gets these penalties removed, P5 after that mistake is still a good result.
Yeah, sure is. I mean, again, he'll be left kicking himself though, won't he? He'll be concerned. And here we go. Look at this. Chris Thurgood, the battle of the 2 front wing damaged cars. And Baza just holds up. Blue Girls will be looking behind this and ready to pounce, you would think. Has he got damage though? Doesn't look like it. So he's got a clean car. Should have every opportunity, should he need it, to get through. Sam Hickman, meanwhile, the man of the moment, on the attack of Dom Smith into turn 1, but not close enough. On lap 13.
Just didn't have the DRS that time. Just didn't have the DRS that time, and Emery will get it on the run up to turn 4. But just see what he can do. Obviously, this straight isn't awfully long, and he looks quite far back, but he could maybe get Dom Smith at the third DRS point, going up the hill very late on the brakes there, and had to avoid the back of that Mercedes. But yeah, if those penalties get removed after that mistake, it's a fantastic result for him.
I've got to ask this, how many Hickmans are there? We've got Ruth Hickman now cheering on Sam Hickman. Goodness me. Go on.
Not quite sure who the Garretts are either, but they're cheering on Sam, so maybe some sort of relative. Yeah. I'm kind of cheering him on as well. He's teammates with his older brother. I hope he does well. But be interesting to see if he can get past Dom Smith.
Yeah, well, it's a Hickman mania here in TGP2 at the minute as we ride on board with Chris Johnson? No, that's Chris Thurgood in 7th position. Look at Chiapelli making a move behind that on Blair Grouse. Crucial manoeuvres being made by him, and he's up into 8th place, the championship leader. He won't be after this race, but he's got a move there. Alex Zaffro out of this race. He joins Smokey G's on the sidelines as Chris is ahead, as you can see, of Baza. Baza fighting back as they go down the straight, moving left and right is Chris Thurgood. Baza weaving all over the place, trying to get through on him. Goodness me, that's so close, and Chiapelli fancies a hatful of points from nowhere here.
Danny Curry, it's been fantastic. I said to keep an eye out for him. He is on the fresh off behind drivers that are quicker than him, and to be P8 at the minute is a decent achievement.
Through goes Baza on Chris Thurgood, and here comes Chiapelli on the pair of them, maybe. Certainly on Chris, and maybe on Baza as well, because he's gone very deep into the corner. Here we go then, Baza, 3-second time penalty. Here comes Mr. Chiapelli, alongside and up into the top 6. That should be candy for a baby in the braking zone, and it is. He's got damage too.
He's got damage as well, so he's absolutely flying at the minute as Luca. P6 is incredible. I think that'll be the highest he will be achieving. I think Dom might just hold on to P4. I think some tires have gone at this point. Chris is close right up to the back of Jack, and this is going to cost Jack second with that penalty.
Yeah, too little too late for Chris in terms of the victory. On the road he might get second. He might not need to do it on the road, because it looks at the minute like he's going to get that second place due to the penalties. So lap 14 out of 14, we're on the final lap here in Bahrain, and Mike Noon this time looks like he is going to finish first on the road again, but this time it looks like he's going to keep that victory. It looks to me like he's not going to pick up any penalties, and it looks like it's all under control for the man who's been on form since the very first wheel was turned in Abu Dhabi tonight. Here comes Mike Noon round the final corner. It's redemption from the Abu Dhabi failure. He comes across the line to win in the desert in Bahrain. Mike Noon wins in round 2. Chris Johnson gets second on the penalties. Jack Pearson is third, with Dom Smith over the line in 4. Sam Hickman is 5th. He might get those penalties removed. Some of the guys with in the safety car area will probably get them removed. Chiapelli takes that 5th for now. Sayer Sports recovers to 6th after that earlier moment. Sam Hickman 7th. Indecisive is 8th. Blair Grills is 9th. And Chris Thurgood is 10th. What a Bahrain Grand Prix that was, Aidan Griffiths.
What a battle for the lead, for 4th, for 5th, for 8th, for 10th, for 15th at some points. Absolutely incredible. Obviously penalties changing up the order for some drivers, but Mercedes again will be disappointed with Jack losing second, but they'll be delighted for Dom getting 4th. That's a big points haul again for Mercedes, and a decent start to the constructors for them. And yeah, just some fantastic driving out there from a lot of the drivers.
Yeah, great driving out there from many of the drivers. It is Mike Noon getting redemption after those penalties cost him the victory despite winning on the road last time out in Abu Dhabi. This time round, no penalties, clean slate, clean sweep, and it's the race victory for Mike Noon on the top step of the podium. He will also be your championship leader, leaving the Middle East here this weekend. He's on the top step, he takes the victory. Chris Johnson, some would say he lucked into it, some would say it was clever strategy, some would say it was a Singapore repeat attempt from Racing Point, from what Renault did. Crash one car, try and win with the other. No, I think that's a bit too far. But no, third position in the end for Jack Pearson. A bit disappointed with the penalty, but at least for Jack Pearson, Aidan, it wasn't a hatful of penalties dropping him clean out the points.
No, it wasn't. No, and that's what we've seen from Jack in the past, where he gets 6, 9, 12 seconds worth of penalties sometimes, and he finishes down in 5th or 6th, but yet only the one penalty today. It has cost him a position, but he is still on that podium, and it is still a decent handful of points from him.
Yep, well, there is the final order. Again, I stress penalties might get removed for the safety car situation and other things. Mike Noon first, Chris Johnson second, Jack Pearson third, Dom Smith in fourth with Chiapelli fifth, Sear Sports is sixth with Sam Hickman seventh, Indecisively Blair Grills ninth, and Chris Johnson rounded out the top 10. The bottom half of the order, Mr. John 11th, Red Bull Kim in 12th, the Viking 13th, F1 Baza 14th, Bossman Sean 15th, Sir Tom Penguin 16th, Dark Shadow. Outside the points, non-finishers I should say, Angel versus Death, Alex Zaffro 19th, so Tom Penguin will have the bragging rights in the office tomorrow, and Smokey J's comes up last in P19 after that crash turned the race on its head. We can give you the standings because there's been 2 races tonight. There they are provisionally, of course. Mike Noon on top by 9 points to Mr. Chiapelli, Jack Pearson third, Chris Johnson fourth, and Dom Smith in fifth. Thoughts on the opening night overall, Aidan?
Absolutely fantastic. I don't think DGB2 could have asked for a better opening 2 rounds to the season. Overtakes, crashes, drama, tension, I think, for a lot of the drivers. And just to mention something, I've seen something in the chat, a lot of people saying take off the penalties. That isn't up to me and Andy, that is up to the stewards after the race. So yep. You'll find it on the TGPSeries Twitter page for championship standings, tweets about the races and stuff like that. So it's not up to us. Yep. But I think most of them will get removed.
Yep, so for all those Team Hickman fans, don't worry. The stewards will look at that after the race, and there will be a full, proper result published, and we'll see how that pans out. We can't take it off, but I'm sure someone will. So, Aidan, just quickly before we finish, your driver of the day for race number 2.
My driver of the day for race number 2 is Dom Smith.
Okay, and the reason for that?
Kept out of trouble, did what he had to do, got away well. I think he pitted quite early. I think it was lap 5, and the undercut worked for him. It got him into these positions. Obviously, a few drivers ahead of him making a few mistakes. But like people say, you need to be the next car if someone is going to make that mistake, and he was. And he got 4th today, and it's a good result for him. Okay,
well, there's going to be a slight disagreement here. I'm going to give it to Mike Noon. Redemption. Got the result this time round. Shows good pace in the race and got the victory. Special mention to Chris Johnson. A little bit of luck, you could say, with the safety car. Special mention to him. And, of course, to Dom Smith. Did a good solid race as well. So, yeah, certainly agree that Dom was a contender. I'm going to go for Mr. Mike Noon. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see what the chat think. But I don't think there's any point in asking them, because I think they all are going to go with one man and one man only, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they are going to go for Salmon. You can see why. I think he's starting. I think he's the same age as my little brother. I think that's what Jack said to me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good opening week for him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone that joined us, including Team Hickman, and we hope to see you again next week for the second week of the championship. 2 more races coming your way. Aidan, what are those races?
Next week we have Brazil and Japan.
Okay, so we're going to Brazil, then we're hopping from one continent to another. We're heading up to Japan for the race at Suzuka. 2 classic tracks from the Formula 1 calendar. We've had 2 modern classics today, and from the Middle East, 2 classic legendary circuits from the old school era coming for you next week at the same time.
Don't call Abu Dhabi a classic.
Oh, okay.
Don't.
Oh, okay.
Do not call Abu Dhabi a classic.
Okay, I've been shot down. I've been shot down by Aidan Griffins, and you know, in that bombshell good night. That's it. Bye from me and bye from Ian Griffins. We'll see you at the same time next week.
See you later.